असित मोदर सन अभिलाष गला पुरी असित मोदर सन अभिलाष गला पुरी शून्य थिल पूर्ण काल शून्य थिल पूर्ण काल एही जीवन शून्य थिल पूर्ण काल एही जीवन चारु चरण अळता सुंदर तुम चारु चरण अळता सुंदर तुम चारु चरण हृदय आवेगाने गिरिपद हृदय आवेगाने गिरिपद छुई करंकर दाग सबु कृपा करि देला धोई करंकर दाग सबु कृपा करि देला धोई मरण जीरा चरणे मरण जीरा चरणे गली शरण मरण जीरा चरणे गली शरण चारु चरण अळता सुंदर तुम चारु चरण अळता सुंदर तुम चारु चरण आहे प्रभु दीन बंधु प्रेम माया प्रेम सिंधु आहे प्रभु दीन बंधु प्रेम माया प्रेम सिंधु धन्य कलये जीवन पाइली अमृत बिंदु धन्य कलये जीवन पाइली अमृत बिंदु मानस कुसुम करे मानस कुसुम करे जेना वंदना मानस कुसुम करे जेना वंदना चारु चरण अळता सुंदर तुम चारु चरण अळता सुंदर तुम चारु चरण प्रणाम करि मुनाथ प्रणाम करि मुनाथ परिवरण चारु चरण अळता सुंदर तुम चारु चरण अळता ayata sundara kilva charu charana charu charana. Joy Guru.
Joy Guru. True prayer. Dear child, don't expect anything in return from the person you love. Make it a habit to love others. Love everybody, the sinner and the sufferer, the poor and the destitute. Serve all, forgetting yourself. Then God will lift you to His lap. There is no need of any mantra, jantra, yoga and yagya. Dear child, I was extremely glad to hear your prayer. Heartful devotion and eyeful tears. Other than it, there cannot be any other prayer for a real devotee. Your prayer will of course be fulfilled. Dear child, give up all desires and longings. Pray wholeheartedly for devotion. You will be ennobled to get it in due time. Dear child, muster strength in mind without despair. Don't think yourself weak and ignoble. Always think that you are the child of Brahmamai, Mother of the Universe. You are not worthless. Especially those who have gained the grace of Gurudev have no fear and anxiety. Certainly Mother will lift him to her lap. Dear child, can a sati dislike the favorite son of her husband? Keep your heart afloat with such spirit. Know it for sure in your mind and heart that she is the mother and you are her son. Then you will realize Mother's grace along with devotion for Sri Gurudev. If one has to realize God on the path of love and devotion, one has to endure sorrows, pains and torments. Gradually, the worldly bondage will seem like poison. The entire love will flow towards Him. Consequently, you will not be contented with any worldly objects or achievement. The mind will singularly run towards one. The heart will flutter for Him like a decapitated dove. Then only one can attain His love. Sri Radha, on enduring the pangs of separation for 100 years, became united with Shyamasundara for good. Can anyone realize Him if one is not mad for Him? Deep yearning is the only way to realize Him. The spiritual body will be energized after being burnt in the fire of separation. Then only one will get the company of Sri Krishna and ultimately attain Premo Sabatara Gati. Whatever is done for the self-contentment is lust. Whatever is performed for happiness of God is love. If He is happy, I am happy. It is termed as Gopi Bhava. The feeling of gopis. The feeling of gopis. I am happy not because I am doing noble deeds. I am happy because my actions give joy to God, the cosmic form. God can compensate in return for bhavas like Shanta, Dasya and Sakhya, etc. But He cannot pay back for the bhavas of gopis. It is because it encompasses the feeling that I have nothing else except you. If there is no prayer or request for anything, what will then God give? Therefore, God remains indebted to the love of gopis. But it is extremely difficult to love God. For that, one has to sacrifice everything in this world. One cannot partake of love if one is conscious of religion and irreligion, good and bad, caste and creed, joy and sorrow. Whatever God likes is to be done. One has to forget everything and only follow that desired objective to love God. It is called Gopi Prema, the love of the gopis. So the feeling of the gopis is the way of worshipping God. The life of Sriman Mahaprabhu is the complete role model on this path as a matter of good fortune and immense spiritual practice. This unique and sublime feeling germinates in man. Joy Guru.
Jai Guru. Saraswata Sangha Puri Branch, America Saraswata Sangha, 829th Sangha Puja Session Report. Date September 4th, 2022. Time 7:15 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Parya Sian Sivani Vedana. Adhyasa Puja, September 3rd, 2022. Adhyasa Puja was held at Nigama Smriti Mandira from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. After Stota Vandana, Upadesa and Sri Nigamananda Viratasanga was read. Attendance sheet is available in the member section of the AMSAS website. First session, September 4th, 2022, 7:15 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. The morning session of the puja started at 7:15 a.m. with Niluma singing Kahara Adara Bola, followed by Anjana, Epidine Kihe Bandhu. During the time, all the devotees joined the puja either at Nikam Smriti Mandira or via teleconference. Sanjit Bhai performed the arati, then Smita Bai Ma led the singing of the Bandana, Bandai Guru Charana and Stota Bandana. Raja Bhai led the reading of Paricha Patra, followed by special Prathana for coronavirus as well as Samilani and Ashanamanda Nitya Puja Prathana. Then Lipsita Ma read Sangha Sevaka Then Lipsita Ma read Sangha Sevaka 41st year part 4 Bandana Prathana and Prathana Tarinka Prati, while Amrita Ma sang Prathana Dipika. The brief summary is purification of mind is absolutely needed for progress in the spiritual world. No one should pray for material things from Sri Guru Bhagavan. Always take his Nama. Any day, find a particular time to think about self for a special amount of time. Spiritual thinking reduces attachment to the material world and helps purify your mind. After the reading of Sangha Sevaka, Donalima read Sri Guru Gita, Sloka 109. Then Sivani Divetima invited Sri Thakura Maharaj for Balya Bhoga and Thakura Maharaj, Bhai, Smaj and young aspirants to attend the second session. The first session concluded with Jai Guru Nama Kirtana. After the first session, Balya Bhoga was offered to Sri Thakura and Bhai, Smaj and young aspirants accepted prasad. Second session. Second 4th, 22 Second session of the puja started at 9:45 a.m. with Diptima and Sukanya Ma singing Abahana, Muje Asari Ganuchi Dina, Asahi Parama Kunda. This was followed by Pranamagana and opening of the ashana. Then Linama sang the Bandana, Tuma Charan Koti Kanati. Banulatama read Paricha Patra, followed by Ujitama singing Vishnupratikana. Sushima read Nikama Upadesa, page 169 to 170, followed by Vishwajit Behera Bhai reading minutes of the last Sangha Puja session. Sasmitama read Pancha Sanyasini Shiksha, Shivani Mahatima singing Ete Sadhanara, followed by Usama read Samskarapathe. Then Jnanabhai coordinated a question answer session. After summarizing Sangha Sevaka reading in the morning, since there was no question, he continued reading Sangha Sevaka. Then the young aspirant session started with Aditi singing Patala Sagare. Then Shreya Ma led the session. Then Shreya Ma led the discussion in the young aspirant session and took the attendance of young aspirants and discussed Yama and Niyama from Ashtanga Yoga. Then Sriyant and Sivani Divetima did their Bhava Vinimaya Seva. Sivani Divetima invited Sri Thakura for Madhyana Bhoga and evening puja. Then Simran and Mahesh Bhai invited Sri Thakura to Sangha Puja to be held on September 11, 2022. Dundan Bhai invited Sri Thakura to his Gurashana Bhakti Utsava to be held on September 4th evening. After that, Sivani Divetima prayed for forgiveness for any mistakes from Sri Thakura, all Bhais, Maj and young aspirants. The session concluded with Vidar Kasana, Dayama Sricharane, sung by Pujama, and the asana was closed with Jai Guru Namakirtana and Pranam. Vishesh Bhai took the attendance of all Bhais and Maj present for the puja. Then Madhyana Bhoga was offered to Sri Thakura, followed by Prasad Chapana. Sri Thakura Terasita, Sriyas and Sipani Divetana. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Sri Thakura Mahatma. ଗଲାଥର ପଢା ହେଇଥିଲା ଠାକୁର ବିହାରୀ ଭାଇଙ୍କ ଘରକୁ ଆସୁଥିଲେ, ଏଇ କଥା ପରେ ପଢିଲା ପୃଷ୍ଠା 22ରୁ। ଏ ଶିକ୍ଷାଭିମାନୀ ଭାଇଗଣ, ତୁମମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରୁ ଅନେକଙ୍କର ମୁଖରୁ ତାଙ୍କର ବିଳାସିତାର ନିନ୍ଦା ଶୁଣିଛି। ଏହି କ୍ଷୁଦ୍ର ଘଟଣାଟିକୁ ଥରେ ଈର୍ଷାବିହୀନ ଚିତ୍ତରେ ନିରପେକ୍ଷ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରେ ଦର୍ଶନ କର ଦେଖି କେଉଁ ଗରଜରେ କାହା ବାଦ୍ୟରେ କେଉଁ ସ୍ୱାର୍ଥ ସିଦ୍ଧି ଆଶାରେ ଓ କେଉଁ ଜୟଲାଭ କାମନାରେ ସେ ଆଜି ଏପରି ଅଭିଯାନ କଲେ। ବାଜ ଲୋକଙ୍କର ସମାଲୋଚନା ଶୁଣିବାକୁ ଆମର ସମୟ ନାହିଁ କି ପ୍ରୟୋଜନ ମଧ୍ୟ ନାହିଁ, କିନ୍ତୁ ତଥାକଥିତ ଶିକ୍ଷିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତିଙ୍କର ଏପରି ମନ୍ତବ୍ୟ ଶୁଣିଲେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ପାଶ୍ଚାତ୍ୟ ଶିକ୍ଷା ପ୍ରତି ଘୃଣା ଜନ୍ମେ। ଯେଉଁ ଶିକ୍ଷାରେ ଆମର ଗୋଟାଏ ଶବ୍ଦାର୍ଥ ଜ୍ଞାନ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଲାଭ ହୁଏ ନାହିଁ, ଯେଉଁ ଶିକ୍ଷାରେ କେବଳ ସାହିତ୍ୟ ଜ୍ଞାନ ଜନ୍ମେ, ବସ୍ତୁ ପାଠର ନୁହେଁ, ଯେଉଁ ଶିକ୍ଷାରେ ବିଦ୍ୟାଳୟରେ ବସି ଶିକ୍ଷାର୍ଥୀ ସୌରଜଗତ ସହିତ ପରିଚିତ ହେଲେ ମଧ୍ୟ ବସ୍ତୁତଃ ବିଦ୍ୟାଳୟ ବାହାରେ ସମ୍ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ବିଦେଶୀ, ଯେଉଁ ଶିକ୍ଷାରେ କେବଳ ମୁହଁଟି ସଚଳ ହୁଏ କିନ୍ତୁ ପଙ୍ଗୁ ହୋଇଯାଏ, ଯେଉଁ ଶିକ୍ଷା କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ ଗଣ୍ଡା ଗଣ୍ଡା ଗୁରୁ ସୃଷ୍ଟି ହୁଅନ୍ତି କିନ୍ତୁ ଶିଷ୍ୟର ଅଙ୍କୁର ମଧ୍ୟ ଦେଖାଯାଏ ନାହିଁ, ଯେଉଁ ଶିକ୍ଷା ଫଳରେ ଦେଶର 16 ଲୋକ ଉପଦେଶ ପ୍ରଦାନରେ ତତ୍ପର କିନ୍ତୁ ପାଳନ ତତ୍ପର ହେବାକୁ କେହି ଚାହାନ୍ତି ନାହିଁ, ସେହି କଳ୍ପନା ବାସ୍ତବ ସମନ୍ୱୟ ପରିପନ୍ଥୀ ଶିକ୍ଷା ଦେଶରୁ ବିଦୂରିତ ହେଲେ ଦେଶର ମଙ୍ଗଳ ବ୍ୟତୀତ ଅମଙ୍ଗଳର ସମ୍ଭାବନା ନାହିଁ। ଛାଡ଼, ଆବେଗରେ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟଚ୍ୟୁତ ହୋଇ ଅନେକ ଦୂରକୁ ଆସିଗଲି। କୌଣସି ମନୁଷ୍ୟ ସହିତ ବିଶେଷ ଘନିଷ୍ଠତା ନହେଲେ ତାର ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ ଓ ଆଚରଣ ପ୍ରତି ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ ନ ରଖିଲେ ତାକୁ ଠିକ ଭାବରେ ବୁଝାଯାଏ ନାହିଁ। କାରଣ ବିଶେଷ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟ କିଛି କରିବାକୁ ଗଲେ ଲୋକ ସତର୍କ ହୋଇ କରେ। ସେପରି ସ୍ଥଳରେ ଅନେକ ସମୟରେ ସ୍ୱଭାବ ସମ୍ୟକ ରୂପେ ଗୁପ୍ତ ରହେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ସାଧାରଣ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ କେହି ଏତେ ବିଚାର କରି କରେ ନାହିଁ, ସ୍ୱାଭାବିକ ଭାବରେ କରିଯାଏ। ସୁତରାଂ ଚରିତ୍ର ବୁଝିବାକୁ ସୁବିଧା ହୁଏ। ତେଣୁ ଏହି ଗ୍ରନ୍ଥରେ ମୁଁ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ସମ୍ବନ୍ଧରେ ଏହିପରି ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ କଥା ଉଲ୍ଲେଖ କରିବି ଯାହା ସ୍ଥୂଳ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରେ ନିଷ୍ପ୍ରୟୋଜନ ଓ ବାହୁଲ୍ୟ ବୋଲି ବିବେଚିତ ହୋଇପାରେ। ବିଶେଷ ଭାବରେ ଲାଭ କ୍ଷତିର ବିଚାର ନ କରି କୌଣସି କାର୍ଯ୍ୟରେ ହସ୍ତକ୍ଷେପ କରିବା ଆମର ଅଭ୍ୟାସ ନାହିଁ। ତେଣୁ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ନେଇ ଗାଡିରେ ବସିବା ପରେ ମନକୁ କେତେ କଥା ଆସିଲା। ମନେ ହେଲା ଏ ଜଣେ ମହାପୁରୁଷ ବା ମହାଯୋଗୀ ନହେଲେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଜଣେ ବିଶିଷ୍ଟ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି, ସନ୍ଦେହ ନାହିଁ। ରାଜା ରଜୁଡା ମାନେ ଯାହାଙ୍କୁ ନେଇ ଏତେ ଆୟୋଜନ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ଆଜି ସେ ଏତେ କଷ୍ଟ ସ୍ୱୀକାର କରି ତୃତୀୟ ଶ୍ରେଣୀ ଯାତ୍ରୀ ମାନଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ବସି ମୋ ପରି ଲୋକର ଅନୁରୋଧରେ କେଉଁ ଲାଭରେ ଯାତ୍ରା କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ଯେଉଁ ଶିଷ୍ୟକୁ ଦୀକ୍ଷା ଦେବାକୁ ଗୁରୁକରଣର ଲୁଗା, ମଧୁପର୍କର ବାଟି ଓ ଦକ୍ଷିଣା ଟଙ୍କା ବି ଲାଗେ ନାହିଁ, ତା ଗୃହକୁ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି। ଏଥିରେ ନାନା ସନ୍ଦେହ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଟିକେ ସଙ୍କୋଚ ବି ଆସିଥିଲା। ବ୍ୟବସାୟରେ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ ସହିତ ଭାବ ରଖିବାକୁ ହେଲେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଧରଣର ଜିନିଷ ରଖିବାକୁ ହୁଏ। ଚାଲ ଚାଦର ବିକ୍ରି କରୁଥିବା ଲୋକର ଘରେ ଶସ୍ତା କୋରା ଖାନପନା ମଧ୍ୟ ଥାଏ, ଯେପରି କୌଣସି ଗ୍ରାହକ ଫେରି ନଯାଏ। ତେଣୁ ଏ ଭଦ୍ରଲୋକ ବଡ ଲୋକଙ୍କର ଗୁରୁ ହେଲେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଗୁରୁଗିରିର ମର୍ଯ୍ୟାଦା ରକ୍ଷା କରିବାକୁ ଆଜି ଏତେ କଷ୍ଟ ସ୍ୱୀକାର କରିବାକୁ ବାଧ୍ୟ ହୋଇଛନ୍ତି। କିନ୍ତୁ ମୋ ପକ୍ଷରେ ତ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଏତେ କଷ୍ଟ ଦେବା କୌଣସି ହିସାବରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଶିଷ୍ଟାଚାରର ବିରୁଦ୍ଧ ହେଉଛି। ଯାହା ହେଉ କେତୋଟି ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ ଘଟଣାରୁ ବୁଝିପାରିଲି ଯେ ତାଙ୍କ ମନରେ କଷ୍ଟ କି ବିରକ୍ତିର ଲେଶ ମାତ୍ର ନାହିଁ, ବରଂ ସ୍ୱଚ୍ଛନ୍ଦତା ଓ ରସିକତାର ଆଭାସ ପାଇଲି। ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେ ହାତରେ କରମାଳା ଧରୁଥିଲେ, ବୋଧହୁଏ ବାଟରେ ମାଳାଟିକୁ ହଜେଇ ଦେଇଥିଲେ। ଗାଡିରେ ବସି ମାଳାଟିକୁ ନ ପାଇ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ଥିବା ଶିଷ୍ୟ ସ୍ୱରୂପାନନ୍ଦ ସ୍ୱାମୀଜୀକୁ କହିଲେ, ମାଳାଟି ହଜେଇ ଦେଲି। କୌଣସି ଅଶୁଭ ସମ୍ବାଦ ଶୁଣିଲେ ହଠାତ୍ ଅପ୍ରତିଭ ହୋଇ ଆମେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ଗୋଟାଏ ଅର୍ଥହୀନ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ କରିବସୁ। ସେପରି ଜଣେ ଲୋକ କହିଲା, କାଲି ଅମୁକର ଶ୍ରାଦ୍ଧ। ଅସ୍ଥିର ହୋଇ ଶ୍ରୋତାଟି ପଚାରିଲା, କଣ ହେଲା, ଅମୁକ ମରିଗଲାଣି? ରସି ବ୍ୟକ୍ତିଟି ଉତ୍ତର ଦେଲା, ନା, ଜୀବିତ ଅବସ୍ଥାରେ ହିଁ ତାର ଗୋଟାଏ ଶ୍ରାଦ୍ଧ କରିବା ପ୍ରୟୋଜନ ହେଉଛି, ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ଘରୁ ମାଳ ହଜାଇଛି ଶୁଣି ସ୍ୱରୂପାନନ୍ଦ ହେଇକରି ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ କଲେ, ମାଳା କେଉଁଠି ପକେଇଦେଲେ? ଠାକୁର ଉତ୍ତର ଦେଲେ, ଯଦି କେଉଁଠି ପକେଇ ଦେବାର କଥା ଜାଣିଥାନ୍ତି ତେବେ ତ ଉଠାଇ ଆଣିଥାନ୍ତି। ଏହି ପ୍ରସଙ୍ଗରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟିଏ ଘଟଣା ଉଲ୍ଲେଖ କଲେ ଖୁବ୍ ଆମୋଦଜନକ ହେବ। ଅଳ୍ପ ଦିନ ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଠାକୁର ଦୟାନନ୍ଦଙ୍କର ଜଗତଶ୍ରୀ ଦୋଳଗୋବିନ୍ଦାଶ୍ରମ ସରକାର ବାହାଦୁରଙ୍କ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଧ୍ୱସ୍ତ ବିଧ୍ୱସ୍ତ ହୋଇଥିଲା। ଦୟାନନ୍ଦ ଠାକୁର ଅଳ୍ପ ଦିନ ହେବ ଜେଲରୁ ବାହାରିଥିଲେ। ଗାଡିରେ ଜଣେ ଭଦ୍ରଲୋକ ବିସ୍ମିତ ହୋଇ ବାରମ୍ବାର କେବଳ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ଆଡକୁ ଚାହୁଁଥିଲେ। ଠାକୁର ଧରିଥିବା ବାଡି ଉପରେ ଚିବୁକଟି ରଖି ନତ ମୁଖରେ ନୀରବରେ ଗମ୍ଭୀର ଭାବରେ ବସିଥାନ୍ତି। କଥିତ ଭଦ୍ରଲୋକଙ୍କ ପ୍ରତି ତାଙ୍କର ବିଶେଷ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ ଥିଲା କି ନାହିଁ ଆମକୁ ଜଣା ନାହିଁ। ଭଦ୍ରଲୋକଙ୍କ ମନୋଭାବ ମଧ୍ୟ ଆମେ ବୁଝିପାରି ନାହୁଁ। ଠାକୁର କିନ୍ତୁ ମଝିରେ ମଝିରେ କଣେଇ କଣେଇ ଭଦ୍ରଲୋକଟିକୁ ଚାହିଁ ତାଙ୍କର ମନୋଭାବ ବୁଝି ନେଇଥିଲେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ପୂର୍ବବତୀ ନୀରବ ଓ ନିଷ୍ପନ୍ଦ। ଭଦ୍ରଲୋକଟି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଦୟାନନ୍ଦ ବୋଲି ମନେ ମନେ ଧାରଣା କରିଛି। ଏହି ସମୟରେ ଅଞ୍ଚଳରେ ଦୟାନନ୍ଦ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ପ୍ରତି ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କର ଅତ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଅଶ୍ରଦ୍ଧା ଜାତ ହୋଇଥିଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ ନ ପଚାରି ନିଃସନ୍ଦେହ ହୋଇପାରୁନଥିଲା କିମ୍ବା ନୀରବତା ଭଙ୍ଗ କରି ଅଗ୍ରସର ହେବାକୁ ସାହସ ପାଉନଥିଲା। ପରିଶେଷରେ ଧୈର୍ଯ୍ୟଚ୍ୟୁତ ହୋଇ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ଖୁବ୍ ନିକଟକୁ ଆସି ପଚାରିଲା, ଆପଣଙ୍କର ନାମ? ଠାକୁର ଉତ୍ତର ଦେଲେ ଗୁରୁଦାସ। ଦୟାନନ୍ଦଙ୍କର ପୂର୍ବ ନାମ ଥିଲା ଗୁରୁଦାସ ଚୌଧୁରୀ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ପୁନର୍ବାର ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ, କୁଆଡେ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି? ଉତ୍ତର ହେଲା ଜଗତସି। ଶୁଣିବା ମାତ୍ରେ ଆଉ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ କରିବା ଅନାବଶ୍ୟକ ମନେକରି ଭଦ୍ରଲୋକଟି ରାଗରେ ଅଗ୍ନି ଶର୍ମା ହୋଇ କହିଲା, ପୁଣି ଜଗତସି କାହିଁକି? ଆଉ କିଛି ବାକି ଅଛି ନା କଣ? ଠାକୁର କହିଲେ, ଅଛି ତ, ଯାଇ ଦେଖେ କଣ ହଉଛି। ଏହିପରି ନିସ୍ତବ୍ଧତା ମଧ୍ୟରେ ସମନସ୍କତା, ଗାମ୍ଭୀର୍ଯ୍ୟ ଭିତରେ ରସିକତା ଓ ପ୍ରଶାନ୍ତି ଭିତରେ ବାକ୍ଚାତୁର୍ଯ୍ୟ ଏବଂ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟୁତ୍ପନ୍ନମତିତ୍ୱ ଦେଖି ଅବାକ ହେଇଗଲେ। ପଥଶ୍ରାନ୍ତିରେ ତାଙ୍କର କଷ୍ଟ ବା ବିରକ୍ତି ଥିଲେ ଏପରି ରସିକତା ଓ ପରିହାସ ପ୍ରିୟତା ରହନ୍ତା ନାହିଁ ଭାବି କିଛିଟା ଆଶ୍ୱସ୍ତି ଲାଭ କଲେ। ପ୍ରାୟ 9ଟା ସମୟରେ ଶ୍ରୀମଙ୍ଗଳ ଷ୍ଟେସନରେ ଓହ୍ଲାଇ ପ୍ରାତ୍ୟକୃତ ସମାପନାନ୍ତେ ଘୋଡା ଗାଡିରେ ମୌଲବୀ ବଜାର ଯାତ୍ରା କଲୁ। ଠାକୁର ଏହି ସର୍ବପ୍ରଥମ ଶ୍ରୀହଟ୍ଟ ଆସିଲେ। ପଥରେ ପ୍ରାକୃତିକ ଶୋଭା ଦର୍ଶନ କରି ଶ୍ରୀହଟ୍ଟର ପ୍ରଶଂସା କରିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲେ। ଶ୍ରୀ ଚୈତନ୍ୟ ଦେବଙ୍କର ପିତୃ ଜନ୍ମଭୂମି ବୋଲି ଏହା ପୁଣ୍ୟଭୂମି ଇତ୍ୟାଦି କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରି ଆନନ୍ଦ ମନରେ ଯାତ୍ରା କଲେ। ଦିବା ପ୍ରାୟ 12ଟା ସମୟରେ ଉକିଲ ନର୍ମଦା ସେନ ଦାଙ୍କର ଗୃହରେ ପହଞ୍ଚି ସେଠାରେ 2-3 ଦିନ ଅବସ୍ଥାନ କଲେ। ଏହି ସମୟରେ କେହି ସାଧୁ ଦର୍ଶନ କାମନାରେ, କେହି ଧର୍ମତତ୍ତ୍ୱ ଜାଣିବାକୁ, କେହି ରୋଗ ପ୍ରତିକାର ନିମିତ୍ତ ଏବଂ କେହି ବା ଦୟାନନ୍ଦଙ୍କର ଘଟଣା ଶୁଣାଇବାକୁ ଦଳେ ଦଳେ ଆସିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲେ। କୀର୍ତ୍ତନ ଆଦି ମଧ୍ୟ ଅନୁଷ୍ଠିତ ହେଲା। ଦିନେ ଠାକୁର ବିହାରୀ ଷ୍ଟାଫର କୀର୍ତ୍ତନ ଖୁବ୍ ଭଲ ଲାଗିଲା କହି ପ୍ରଶଂସା କଲେ। ମୋର ଯେ ଗୋଟିଏ ଷ୍ଟାଫ ଅଛି, ଏତେ ଅଳ୍ପ ସମୟ ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଠାକୁର କିପରି ଜାଣିଲେ ବୁଝିପାରିଲି ନାହିଁ। ସେତେବେଳେ ଆମର ଏଠାରେ ଗୋଟିଏ ମଧ୍ୟ ଇଂରାଜୀ ବିଦ୍ୟାଳୟ ଓ ଗୋଟିଏ ସଂସ୍କୃତ ଚତୁଷ୍ପାଠୀ ଖୋଲା ଯାଇଥିବାରୁ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଘରର ପିଲାମାନେ ଅଧ୍ୟୟନ କରୁଥିଲେ। ସେମାନଙ୍କ ମଧ୍ୟରୁ କେତୋଟି ଛାତ୍ରଙ୍କୁ ନେଇ ଆଟଗାଁଓ ଛାତ୍ର ସମିତି ନାମରେ ଗୋଟିଏ ସଂଘ ଗଠନ କରାଯାଇଥିଲା। ସମିତିର ସାପ୍ତାହିକ ଅଧିବେଶନ ଆମ ଗୃହରେ ଅନୁଷ୍ଠିତ ହେଉଥିଲା। ଶିକ୍ଷା ସହିତ ଚରିତ୍ର ଗଠନ ଓ ମନ ସଂଯମ ଇତ୍ୟାଦି ଥିଲା ସମିତିର ଆଲୋଚ୍ୟ ବିଷୟ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଏହା ସହିତ ନାମ କୀର୍ତ୍ତନ ଓ ଧର୍ମଗ୍ରନ୍ଥ ପାଠ ପ୍ରଭୃତି କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ ଥିବାରୁ ପିଲାମାନେ ସାଧୁ ହୋଇଯିବା ଭୟରେ ଅନେକଙ୍କର ହୃତ୍କମ୍ପ ଓ ଈର୍ଷା ଜାତ ହେଲା। ଯାହା ହେଉ, ଅଧିକାଂଶ ପିଲା ଯେଉଁ ସ୍କୁଲ ବା ଟୋଲରେ ଅଧ୍ୟୟନ କରୁଥିଲେ ସେଠାରେ ପରୀକ୍ଷାରେ ପ୍ରାୟ ପ୍ରଥମ ବା ଦ୍ୱିତୀୟ ସ୍ଥାନ ଅଧିକାର କରୁଥିବା ଦେଖି ଅଭିଭାବକମାନେ ଅନେକ ପରିମାଣରେ ନିର୍ଭୟ ଓ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ହୋଇଗଲେ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଦଳେ ଅସତ୍ ଲୋକଙ୍କର ଅଯଥା ଅତ୍ୟାଚାରରେ ଆମେ ସର୍ବଦା ଉଦ୍ପୀଡ଼ିତ ହେଉଥିଲୁ। ବିସ୍ତୃତି ଅନାବଶ୍ୟକ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଭଗବତ କୃପାରେ ବାଳକମାନଙ୍କର ବେଗ ବାଧା ପାଇ କ୍ରମଶଃ ବୃଦ୍ଧି ପାଇବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲା। ସେମାନଙ୍କ ମଧ୍ୟରୁ ଅନେକ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ଶିଷ୍ୟ ହୋଇଛନ୍ତି। ଅନେକ ସେ ସୁଯୋଗ ନ ଘଟିଲେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏକେବାରେ ଅକୂଳରେ ଭାସିଯାଇ ନାହାନ୍ତି। ଏହିମାନଙ୍କୁ ଏବଂ ଆଉ କେତେ ଜଣ ସମବୟସ୍କ ଓ ସହପାଠୀ ବନ୍ଧୁମାନଙ୍କୁ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କରି ହିଁ ଠାକୁର ବିହାରୀର ଷ୍ଟାଫ ବୋଲି କହୁଥିଲେ। ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ମହାତ୍ମ୍ୟ ବର୍ଣ୍ଣନା କରିବାକୁ ଯାଇ ଏସବୁ କଥାର ଅବତାରଣା ଅନେକଙ୍କୁ ଅପ୍ରାସଙ୍ଗିକ ଓ ଆତ୍ମପ୍ରଚାରମୂଳକ ବୋଧ ହୋଇପାରେ। ଯାହା ହଉ, ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୁଁ ମୋର କାହାଣୀ ଅବଲମ୍ବନରେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ମହାତ୍ମ୍ୟ ବର୍ଣ୍ଣନାରେ ଉପକୃତ ହୋଇଛି, ସେତେବେଳେ ସ୍ୱାଭାବିକ ଭାବରେ ଅନେକ ସ୍ଥାନରେ ଆତ୍ମପ୍ରଚାର ହେବା ଅବଶ୍ୟମ ଭାବି ଗୁରୁ ଶିଷ୍ୟଙ୍କର ସମ୍ବନ୍ଧ ଜନ୍ମାନ୍ତରର ବୋଲି ମୁଁ ଗ୍ରନ୍ଥର ପ୍ରାରମ୍ଭରେ ଉଲ୍ଲେଖ କରିଛି। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କେବଳ ତାର କୌଶଳତା କରିବାକୁ ଏପରି ଅବାନ୍ତର ଆଲୋଚନା କଲି। ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ଶିଷ୍ୟ ଭାବରେ ପରିଚିତ ହେବା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଯେପରି ସେ ମୋ ଉପରେ ଦୃଷ୍ଟି ରଖି ତାଙ୍କର କ୍ଷୁଦ୍ର ସେବାର ଅଧିକାର ପ୍ରଦାନ ପୂର୍ବକ ପରିଚାଳିତ କରୁଥିଲେ। ପରିହାସ ଛଳରେ ଅନେକ ସମୟରେ ଠାକୁର ମୋତେ ଜଗତସି କେନ୍ଦ୍ରର ଘଟକ ବୋଲି ଉଲ୍ଲେଖ କରିଛନ୍ତି। ଛାତ୍ର ସମିତିର ସଭ୍ୟଗଣ ଓ ମୋର କେତେଜଣ ବାଲ୍ୟବନ୍ଧୁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଗୁରୁ ଭାଇଙ୍କ ସହ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ନେଇ ନର୍ମଦା ଦାଙ୍କ ଘରେ ମହାନନ୍ଦରେ 3 ଦିନ କଟାଇଲୁ। ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ଘରକୁ ଆଣିବାର ସଂକଳ୍ପ କ୍ରମଶଃ ଶିଥିଳ ହେବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲା। ତାର ପ୍ରଧାନ କାରଣ ହେଲା ଭକ୍ତମାନଙ୍କର ପ୍ରବର୍ତ୍ତିତ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ସେବାର ପରିପାଟ୍ୟ ଓ ବଡ ଲୋକଙ୍କର ଚାଲିଚଳନ ଦେଖି ଭାବିଲି 4 ମାଇଲ ଦୂରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ପଲ୍ଲୀ ଗ୍ରାମର କୁଡିଆ ଘରେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ନେଇ ରଖିବା ସମ୍ଭବପର ନୁହେଁ। ବିଶେଷତଃ କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାର ଯାନବାହନ ଯୋଗାଡ଼ କରିପାରିବେନି। ପଥଘାଟର ସେପରି ସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ। ଯଦିବା ଆସିବା ବାଟରେ ଅନେକ ସ୍ଥାନରେ ତାଙ୍କର ସୌଜନ୍ୟ ଓ ସଦାୟତା ଅନୁଭବ କରିଛି, ତଥାପି ମୋ ପାଇଁ ସେ କଷ୍ଟ ପାଉଛନ୍ତି ଭାବି ଅଶାନ୍ତି ଭୋଗ କରିବି। ଏହି ପ୍ରକାର ଚିନ୍ତା ଏବଂ ନର୍ମଦା ଦାଙ୍କର ପରାମର୍ଶ କ୍ରମେ ଘରର ସ୍ତ୍ରୀ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଏଠାକୁ ଆଣି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ଦର୍ଶନ କରିବାର ବନ୍ଦୋବସ୍ତ କରିବାକୁ ଠିକ କରିବା ଦ୍ୱାରା ଘରକୁ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ନେବାର ଇଚ୍ଛା ମୋର ମନ୍ଦୀଭୂତ ହୋଇଯାଉଥିବା ଦେଖି ମୋର ବନ୍ଧୁମାନେ ମୋତେ ବାଧ୍ୟ କରିବାକୁ ଲାଗିଲେ। ସେମାନେ ନିଜେ ସମସ୍ତ ପ୍ରକାର ବନ୍ଦୋବସ୍ତ କରି ପାଲିଙ୍କିରେ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କୁ ବହନ କରି ନେଇଯିବେ ବୋଲି ପ୍ରତିଶ୍ରୁତି ଦେଲେ। ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଗୋପନରେ ସେମାନେ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ ଥିଲେ। ସେଦିନ ଅନେକ ରାତିରେ ସହସା ଠାକୁର
ଭାଇ ସେ ରଖିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ଆଜି ଡିସ୍କସନ କରିବାର ଅଛି କି ଆପଣ ଜୟଗୁରୁ ଜୟଗୁରୁ So just to summarize what I just read from this story today, this is a story for the Barimon Sarna Bhai and his experience of inviting and accompanying Thakur to his home. This is the experience is right before when Bihari Bhai is narrating his story, or he was initiated by Thakur, and in that ceremony Thakur had pretty much arranged everything for him. He didn't have to bring anything, and Thakur went to that extent that he initiated Bihari Bhai, and while knowing that Bihari Bhai was initiated before, and Bihari Bhai was wondering how come Thakur didn't even ask him what his experience was, whether the initiation that given by Thakur will serve him any good. So he was very much in that dilemma in his mind. And while he was going through that dilemma, he had invited Thakur, and Thakur also agreed to visit his home. And when they started, and then also as they were before the starting to go from Asindhar Bhai to his home, Bihari Bhai is thinking, how is he going to take care of Thakur? Because Thakur is to get all the services and the affection and then the luxury from all the devotees like kings and landlords, but Bihari Bhai is feeling that he's not that financially sound, and whether he's will be able to do any take care of Thakur with that luxury. And he was going through this experience. They started the journey from Asindhar Bhai's house. When they started the journey, one thing that was becoming very clear, with so many incidents happened while they were walking in the winter or in the field or traveling by train. One thing that came to his mind, and he was very certain that how the greatness of Thakur, whether he was able to comprehend or not, at least one thing was very clear to his mind, that Thakur was an excellent and a great human being, because the way he was getting along with all the devotees and trying to make Bihari Bhai very comfortable during this journey. And during that, when they came to the Bihari Bhai's neighbor's home, and by the time they noticed that Thakur had boil on his feet, and that made Bihari Bhai and other devotees very worried. But Thakur made sure that all their anxiety put that into rest by saying he used to walk 47 miles a day during his early days of his spiritual experience. And this boil, that happened to him during that walk, probably didn't make much of it didn't trouble him at all. So those experiences really made Bihari Bhai felt very comfortable, and was really removing those things that was going in his mind. And this is Thakur made sure that every devotee are equal to him, irrespective of their financial status or other social norms. And this story is a really great example of the Guru and Sishya, or Guru and devotees, how great Thakur is, while he still come across as common man to every devotee. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Madhure madhure murali bajila, madhure madhure murali bajila, apurva lagana uthila vikasi, apurva lagana uthila vikasi, पंचमारा गिरी तने कोकिला गईला, पंचमारा गिरी तने कोकिला गईला, मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला कुंजे कुंजे तरुडाळे बिहागर पूजन कुंजे कुंजे तरुडाळे बिहागर पूजन पात फुल महकळे मधुपर गुंजन पात फुल महकळे मधुपर गुंजन पितळा समीर बाहे धीरा धीरा पितळा समीर बाहे धीरा धीरा गोविंद पद कले ब्रजबाला गोविंद पद वंदना कले ब्रजबाला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला कृष्ण को सुबेश करी गोपारी कृष्ण को सुबेश करी गोपारी चरण पूजिले पुरी चरण पूजिले रूपदीप गंध अर्पिले नैवेद्य धूपदीप गंध अर्पिले नैवेद्य बनमाली गले दिले बन फूलमाला बनमाली गले दिले बन फूलमाला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला तियंगेले पिले फकाती तिलक तियंगेले पिले फकाती तिलक जाजगे सीमंत दिसे जग जाजगे सीमंत दिसे जग गोपांगना प्राणी हरिता पुलक गोपांगना प्राणी हरिता पुलक प्रेम मंदाकिनी धरा प्रखर हुईला प्रेम मंदाकिनी धरा प्रखर हुईला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला तारा गण मध्ये जिन्हे सासीधर तारा गण मध्ये जिन्हे सासीधर गोपींक गहणे श्याम नाटभर गोपींक गहणे श्याम नाटभर अपरूपा शोभा मुनि जन लोभा अपरूपा शोभा मुनि जन लोभा अपरूपा शोभा मुनि जन लोभा मदन मोहन रूप जगत मोहिला मदन मोहन रूप जगत मोहिला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला अपूर्व लगन विकसी उठिला अपूर्व लगन उठिला विकसी पंचमरागिणी तळे कोकिळ गाईला पंचमरागिणी तळे कोकिळ गाईला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला मधुरे मधुरे मुरली बाजिला
जय गुरु।
जय गुरु। संसार पथे। In the olden times, the Hindu society, there were 4 phases developed for education in human life. The first one was brahmacharya, the second one was householder life, the third was vanapastha, and the fourth was sannyas. With the help of these 4 ashrama, people were able to get peace in this chaotic world. At that time, the course of the 4 ashrama was truly yielding the 4 objects of life, Chaturvaga. That is, one was able to achieve dharma, spirituality, artha, money, kama, wishes, and moksha, salvation, while living in this society. But nowadays, the education, behavior, thoughts, and ideas in the society are dramatically opposite to peace and prosperity. Only because of the absence of brahmacharya ashrama, the rest of ashrama have become useless. The society of the present day is acting to be without its root. Nowadays, the words householder's life simply bring no pure thoughts other than those of the place to sleep and the place to eat. It is always necessary to acquire the right education before starting a family. If one aims to build a healthy and lively society, then one must start by educating students on the value of sacrifice, self-restraint, and brahmacharya. Many think if everyone keeps their sense under control, then how will society function? That is why Hindu scriptures stipulated that one has to control their sense first and then begin the householder's life, get married and become householder. In the olden days, the recommendation was to lead brahmacharya life first and then householder's life. By practicing brahmacharya, when the sense become restrained, the mind came under control and the heart became pure. Those who wanted to lead the householder's life were choosing a like-minded wife. First will start attraction towards the worldly object and then enjoy them. First control your sense and then get married. The sages have not structured the householder life to live like animals, goat. Those who have not controlled their sense are not different from animals. The householders today are infatuated with women like animals. That is why their children are taken birth with animalistic temperaments and are increasing size in the nation. The pure married life of householders is full of spiritual love and happiness. Jai Guru.
जय गुरु सुब्रत भाई को टिके आगुरु बंद कर देली डिस्कशन पड़िया थिला दैट इज रीजन फॉर दैट मैं सिटिंग छात्र पाखरे क्षमा प्रार्थना करि साचली भाई को पाखरे संग पाखरे क्षमा प्रार्थना करछि तार कारण आला या जे आई वांटेड टू से a few words today जे आज हमर परिचालना कमिटी जो दायित्व नैथिला तार गोटे वर्ष पूर्ण होछि completing 1 year today. And गत वर्ष सेप्टेम्बर 12 तारिख रे परिचालन कमिटी शपथ ग्रहण करथिले कहि कमिटी दायित्व नैथिले. So just wanted to do little समीक्षा आज एचपी कहूची जे माने आगु थरे कहिथे सर कहिछि जे खाली बही पढिले किछि हबो नाही जदि सेगुडा त आमे निज भितर फुटे न पारिना ठाकुर कहिसंती श्री बसु भाई को कथा संग्रह रे एते प्रबंध लिखुछ निज जीवन फुटे पारना दैट इज व्हाट यू वांट खाली बही पढिले किछि हबो नाही समीक्षा न कले हम कोनटा ठीक कर कोनटा भूल करछु समीक्षा न कले हमर आध्यात्मिक उन्नति होजिला जानते नाही होछि कि नाही एनीवे तो मुझे माने समीक्षा कर चाहूँगी केतरा कहना चाहूँगी प्रथम कथा ला आम जो नाम शपथ नहीं केतरा कथा कही से केतरा सक्सेसफुल रहीछु आम केतरा है जस्ट वांट टू स्पेंड फ्यू मिनिट्स ऑन दैट गोटे कथा कही जे हमर अधिकांश सेवा खूब कम भक्त द्वारा होती जस्ट रैंडमली नंबर पिक करी 80% of the sevas are being done by 20% of the devotees. सेवक सेविका सेवा को आउट डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करवा अन्य मान इनवॉल्व करवा सेटा गोटे गोल थिला जदियो इम्प्रूवमेंट आप नोटिस करुवे आम प्रोग्राम मानक बर्तमान यू सी मोर नेक्स्ट नोटिस करते धरतु फॉर एग्जांपल माइन मोर पैसा पत्र रहा सब पढ़ाब छड़ा जस्ट वन एक्सट्रा सेवा आज रही क्वेश्चन आंसर सेसन सेमती माने एमती कही मो बही पढ़ा सेवा थी मुझे मना करदेली मैंने मो जगह अन्य क्या दि जाए इनवॉल्विंग मोर भक्त जिते अधिक भक्त सेवा ने संघ शक्ति पुष्टि लाभ कर परंतु आम संघरे गोटे संघरे 100 जन मेंबर 10 जन सेवा करेंगे इनवल्व हे आउ 90 जन सेवा करेंगे ना तो 100 जन संघ शक्ति से ना से 10 जन संघ शक्ति रहा शक्ति से 10 जन रहा 100 जन आसला ना तो से गोटे गोल था अधिकांश आउ जिते भक्त को आम इम्प्रूव करेंगे संघ पूजा नोटिस कर मोर पीपुल आर टेकिंग पार्ट दिस डेज एंड जो सेवा करूनते आउ कि जन बर्तमान जॉइन कर दुख विषय जे समस्ते बर्तमान तथापि करूना मु बुझुची जे एटा 100% हबाटा प्रतिशत दुष्कर प्रतिशत कहीं जन चाहिए मु सेवा करी ना संघरे आप बाध्य कर सेवा करें सेवाटा बाध्य कराए सेवाटा भल आसा ठाकुर प्रति आम जो प्रेम अच्छी प्रीति अच्छी भल पाइबा अच्छी सेवाटा तार बहि प्रकाश चिंता प्रकृत ठाकुर केते भल पाऊ सेवा आम सेवा मध्यम प्रकाश पाइब बुझे जो भक्त मैंने सेवा करूना विनीत भाव अनुरोध कर हाथ जोड़ी अनुरोध कर संघ सेवा नियंतु कथा द्वितीय कथा आ गोटे कथा मुझे कमी प्रेम प्रीति संपर्क वर्धित हो देखा ठाकुर कही बारंबार मुझे ठाकुर कहते समस्ते आत्महति कर समस्ते मैंने प्रेम प्रीति संपर्क रही देखिले मत जिते आनंद है मोर राज्य आनीदे से हम ना ये जिनसा को आम फोकस करना एगेन ये इंडिविजुअल जिन गुड़ाक संघ यहाँ मैंने जबरदस्ती करना आम भितर आसा दरकार समस्त भाई मैंने माँ मैंने चिंता करूँ जे कौन कले आम भितर संपर्कटा आउ निबिड़ हम आम तो गोटे परिवार यहाँ आमर दृढ़ विश्वास आसे दरकार दृढ़ विश्वास आपने सच बुझंतु मिछ बुझंतु आध्यात्मिक दृष्टि दिस इज वेरी ट्रू आम ठाकुर आमको जो परिवार या मो घर मो स्त्री मो पिला मो बापा मो माँ मो भाई भौणी कहूँ ये संपर्कटा केवल ये देह स्थिति पर्यंत देहटे चल संपर्क चलो कि आम आध्यात्मिक संपर्कटा उठी 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 नित्य लोक पहुँच संपर्क आहरी दूरीभूत हो जाऊ तेणु ठाकुर आमको जो संघ परिवार निगम परिवार आमर निज परिवार समस्त से भाव रखी चलवा प्रेम प्रति संपर्क वर्धित हम ये समस्त चिंता करूँ कौन कले आम करें कौट दोष त्रुटि रही जाऊँ कहीं आम प्रेम प्रति संपर्कटा सुदृढ़ करना विभिन्न संघ कटक संघ बोधे शुणी बोले भाई मैंने कहती कटक संघ भाईचारा बहुत अधिक आम केमी कौन कले केमती हो गोटे कथा मन रखा जे आज वैषयिक जिन न पशे जे मोर ये भाई भाई मत 500 टका धार देले नुहे संपर्क आध्यात्मिक दृष्टि दरकार भावला संघ सेवक क्या समालोचना करवा ना मन में कष्ट दबा ना ये सब जिन समस्ते नजर रखा आम आचरण संघर क्षति हो ଯଦି ମୁଁ କଣ କହିଦେଲେ ଭାଇଙ୍କ ମନେ ଦୁଃଖ ହେଇଗଲା, ଆଇ ରିଅଲାଇଜ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ମୁଁ କେମିତି କ୍ଷମା ମାଗିବି। ଆଉ ସେଟା କ୍ଷମାଟା ଆନ୍ତରିକ କ୍ଷମା ହବା ଦରକାର, କ୍ଷମା ଦିଆ ହବା ଦରକାର, ଖାଲି ମୁହଁରେ ନୁହେଁ। ଯେମିତି ଛୋଟ ପିଲା ଗୁଡା କହେ ସେ ଆମ୍ ସରି, ସେ କହିବ ଆମ୍ ସରି, ସେଟା ତା ଅନ୍ତରରୁ ଆସୁନି, ସେଟା ମୁହଁରୁ ଆସୁଛି। ସମସ୍ତେ ଟିକେ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବା କଣ କଲେ ଆମ ଭିତରେ ପ୍ରେମ ଭିତରେ ସମ୍ପର୍କ ବଢିବ। ଆଉ ଥର୍ଡ ଥିଙ୍ଗ ବିଫୋର ଆଇ ଗୋ ଟୁ Q&A ସେକ୍ସନ, I want to say ଯେ ସବୁବେଳେ ଏଇଟା ମୁଁ ଆଗରୁ ଥରେ ନିଶ୍ଚୟ କହିଛି ଯେ ପୁରସ୍କାର ଆମର ଶେଷରେ ଆମର ତତ୍କାଳୀନ ସଭାପତି ସିହ୍ନା ଭାଇ ଆସିଥିଲେ ପୁରସ୍କାର ଶେଷ ଦିନ, କେତେଟା ଉପଦେଶ ଦେଇଥିଲା ଆମମାନଙ୍କୁ। ତାପରେ ଗୋଟିଏ ଉପଦେଶ କେତେଟା ଦେଇଥିଲେ ମୁଁ ସବୁ ମନେ ରଖିଛି, ମାନେ ଲେଖି ରଖିଥିଲେ। ଗୋଟେ ଉପଦେଶ ହଉଛି ଯେ ଅନ୍ୟମାନଙ୍କୁ ସୁଯୋଗ ଦିଅ। ଏଇଟା ମତେ ବେଶୀ ଟଚ୍ କରିଥିଲା ଏଇଥିପାଇଁ ଯେଟା ଠାକୁରଙ୍କର ଉପଦେଶ ସହିତ ଆଦେଶ ଉପଦେଶ ପୁରା ମିଶି ଯାଉଛି। ଠାକୁର ସେ ତ୍ୟାଗ ବେରେଟ କହିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ନିଜକୁ ଭୁଲି ଅପରକୁ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କର, ଉପଦେଶ ଥିବ କୋଉଠି ଚିଠିରେ ଆସିଛି ବୋଧେ, ନିଜ କଥା ଭୁଲି ଅପରକୁ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କର। ଏଇଟାକୁ ସବୁବେଳେ ଆମେ ମନେ ରଖିବା ଯେ ଆମେ ସ୍ୱାର୍ଥପର କେବେ ବି ହବା ନାହିଁ, ସବୁବେଳେ ଅନ୍ୟକୁ କେମିତି ସୁଯୋଗ ଦେବା। ମୁଁ ଯୋଡିଏ କୁଇକଲି କହିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି, ଯୋଡିଏ ଇନସିଡେଣ୍ଟ କହିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି। ମାନେ ମୁଁ ସେ ଭାଇମାନଙ୍କ ନାଁ ନେବି, କାରଣ ନାଁ ମନରେ ସେ ଘଟଣାଟା ମାନେ ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ହବ ନାହିଁ, କଥାଟା ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ହବ ନାହିଁ, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଭାଇମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ କ୍ଷମା ଚାହୁଁଛି। ଯୋଡିଏ ଇନସିଡେଣ୍ଟ ଯୋଉଟା ମୋତେ ଟଚ୍ କରିଥିଲା, ଏଇଥିପାଇଁ ଟଚ୍ କରିଥିଲା ଯେ ମୁଁ ଯେତିକି ମୋ ନିଜ ପାଇଁ ଯେତିକି ଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡାର୍ଡ ରଖିଛି, ମୋ ଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡାର୍ଡ ଅଧିକ ବାହାରକୁ ଚାଲିଗଲେ, ଆହୁରି ଅଧିକା କରିଦେଲେ। ତ ଆଇ ରିୟଲି ନୋ I was touched by those incidents. ଗୋଟେ ହଉଛି ରିସେଣ୍ଟ ଇନସିଡେଣ୍ଟ, ପ୍ରଭାକର ଭାଇଙ୍କର ପାଳି ଥାଏ। ଭାଇ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ପ୍ରିପାରେସନ କମିଟି ଅଛି, ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମଟା ଆସୁଛି, ଭାଇ ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି। ଭାଇଙ୍କର ନାଁ ଥିଲା, ଅଫକୋର୍ସ ଯେହେତୁ ପାଳିଆ ଭାବ ବିନିମୟରେ ନାଁ ଥିଲା, ଆଉ ନାଁ ଥିଲା ନିଗମ ଉପଦେଶ ପଢିବାରେ। ଭାଇ ଗୋଟେ ମେସେଜ ପଠେଇଥିଲେ ଯେ ମୁଁ ତ ପାଳିଆ ଅଛି, ଭାବ ବିନିମୟ କରିବି, ସେ ନିଗମ ଉପଦେଶ ସେବାଟା ଆଉ କାହାକୁ ଦିଆଯାଉ। ଏଇଟା କୁହାଯାଉଛି ଯେ ନିଜକୁ ଭୁଲି ଉପରକୁ ଦିଅ, ଅନ୍ୟକୁ ସୁଯୋଗ ଦିଅ। ଯେ ମୋର ମୁଁ ତ ଭାବ ବିନିମୟ କରିବି, ମୋ ଅଲଗା ସେବା ରହିଲା, ଯେ ସେଟା ଆଉ ଜଣେ କିଏ ପାଉ, କେଡ଼େ ଆଦର୍ଶ କଥା। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଦ୍ୱିତୀୟ ଇନସିଡେଣ୍ଟ ହେଲା ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ ଭାଇ। ଆମର ଯେତେବେଳେ ମା ମାନଙ୍କ କ୍ଲାସରେ ଚାଲିଲା, ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ ଭାଇ ରୋଷେଇଶାଳାର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ସେବକ, ମାନେ ଭୋଗ ରନ୍ଧନ ସେବକ। କାହିଁକି ଦେଖିଛି ଏଭ୍ରି ଟାଇମ୍ ପ୍ରସାଦ ପାଇବେ ନାହିଁ until everybody gets ପ୍ରସାଦ। ଏୟାର ପକେଇ ବସିଥିବେ ସେଠି। ଯେ ଅନ୍ୟମାନେ ପ୍ରସାଦ ପାଇ ସାରିଲା ପରେ, ମାନେ ଏଇଟା ମା ମାନେ ବି କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ମା ମାନେ ଆମର ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ମୁଖ୍ୟ ସେବିକା ସେମାନେ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି, ମୁଁ ଦେଖି ସେମାନେ କରନ୍ତି। କିନ୍ତୁ ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ ଭାଇ ମା ମାନେ କରିବା ତ ମାନେ I have seen that for a long time. ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ ଭାଇ did that. Oh my God, ମାନେ ମୁଁ କହିଲି ଯେ ମୋର ଯେତିକି ନିଜ ପାଇଁ ଯେତିକି ମୁଁ ଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡାର୍ଡ ରଖିଛି, ଏ ଦୁଇଟା ଇନସିଡେଣ୍ଟ ମୋ ଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଡାର୍ଡକୁ ଟପିଗଲା। ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ଭାଇମାନଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ମୁଁ କୃତଜ୍ଞତା ଜଣାଉଛି। ଆଉ ମୋର କହିବାର କାରଣ ଏଇଆ ଯେ ଆମକୁ ଶିଖିବାର ଅଛି ଏଥିରୁ, ଅନ୍ୟକୁ ସୁଯୋଗ ଦବା। ନିଜେ ସବୁ ମାରି ବସିକିରି ରସଗାଡ଼ି ପାଟିରେ ପକେଇଦେବି, ଅନ୍ୟମାନେ କିଏ ଖାଇଲେ ନ ଖାଇଲେ ମୋର ଚିନ୍ତା ନାହିଁ। ଏଇଟା ଆମର ଆଧ୍ୟାତ୍ମିକ ଉନ୍ନତିର ମୋଟେ ଲକ୍ଷଣ ନୁହେଁ, ଆଦୌ ନୁହେଁ। ଆମେ ଜାଣିବା ଯେ ଆମର ଆଧ୍ୟାତ୍ମିକ ଉନ୍ନତି ହଉନି, ବରଂ ପତନ ହଉଛି। ମୋ ଭାଇ ମାନେ ମା ମାନେ ପାଇନାହାନ୍ତି ପ୍ରସାଦ, ମୁଁ ଯାଇ ଚଟନା ଖାଇଦଉଛି, ମୋ ପେଟକୁ ପୁରୁଆଲେ। ମୁଁ କହୁନି ଯେ କିଏ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ଗୋଟେ ରାଣ୍ଡମ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ଦେଇଛି। ତେଣୁ ସମସ୍ତେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବା ଯେ ଆମ ସେବା ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ଯେମିତି ନିଖୁଣ ଭାବରେ ଆଦର୍ଶ ଭାବରେ ହବ। ସବୁବେଳେ ଅନ୍ୟ କଥା ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବା, ନିଜକୁ ପଛରେ ପକେଇକି। ସଫର, ମୋ ଭାଇ ମାନେ, ମୋ ମା ମାନେ, ମୋ ପରିବାର, ସେମାନେ ଉପକୃତ ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ। ଆଗେ ସେମାନେ ପରେ ମୁଁ। ହେଲେ ତ ବର୍ଷେ ପୁରୁଛି ଆମର। ଗୋଟେ ରିକ୍ୱେଷ୍ଟ ଆପଣ ମାନଙ୍କୁ, ଯଦି ଏ ବର୍ଷ ଭିତରେ ଆପଣ କିଛି ତ୍ରୁଟି ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କରିଛନ୍ତି, ଦୟାକରି ପ୍ଲିଜ ମତେ ଜଣାନ୍ତୁ, କିମ୍ବା ବିଶ୍ୱଜିତ ଭାଇଙ୍କୁ ଜଣାନ୍ତୁ, କିମ୍ବା କୌଣସି ପରିଚାଳନା ଜଣାନ୍ତୁ। ଆମେ ଚାହୁଁଛୁ କେମିତି ତ୍ରୁଟି ଶୂନ୍ୟ ଭାବରେ ସଂଘଟା ପରିଚାଳନା ହେଇପାରିବ, ସମସ୍ତ କେମିତି ଆଧ୍ୟାତ୍ମିକ ଉନ୍ନତି ହବ। ଆମେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଗୋଟିଏ ପରିବାର ଭଗବତ ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରୁ दृष्टि से भाया आम केमी माने आचरण कर संघ सेवा सेमती कर तो प्लीज डू लेट अस नो किसी असुविधा फिल कर माने स्पीकिंग फ्रॉम माय हार्ट मोटा मुहर कहूना माने मोर अंतर कहूँ प्रकृति जब किसी दोष त्रुटि लक्ष्य कर गत वर्ष भितर दयाक जनातु आम चेष्टा करूँ तार संशोधन करने आदि किसी नुआ आइडिया थाए जोटा करहब एगेन माने आइडिया चाहिए तो मैं 1000 आइडिया आसो कि आम लोक अभाव समस्त जानते सम्मिलन देखी केमती हईराण होती आम सब तेणु जोड़ाक आध्यात्मिक उन्नति साहाय्य कर भाई मोर कलटा ड्रप कर हाँ जब किसी समय जदि किसी आइडिया थाए टे दयाक जनातु से मोर कहला लास्ट 3 मिनट अच्छी कार किसी क्वेश्चन अच्छी कि किसी एनीथिंग एनीबडी वांट्स टू आस्क संघ से बर्तमान डिस्कसन करने को समय हेनी मात्र 3 मिनट रहा मैं जानी मैं बहुत समय नेली बट एट द सेम टाइम आई स्टिल फील दैट इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट जदि आम आध्यात्मिक उन्नति न करवा खाली आसिक बही पढ़ी गीत बोली चलीगले भाई किसी हेनी माँ मैंने किसी हम ना जमी बहुत लोग गीत बोलते बहुत लोग बही पढ़ुं कि आम मूल लक्ष्य से नुहे मूल लक्ष्य छात्र जहाँ चाहिए सहीटा आम कि ना ठाकुर खुशी कर आज पढ़ा निगम उपदेश मो काम विश्वरूप भगवान सुख हो सुखी आम काम ठाकुर सुखी हो ना खाली गीत बोले कौन हम खाली पढ़ले कौन हम जानले कौन हम जो कम न कि सब आम आत्मसमीक्षा करवा समीक्षा कर कौन भूल त्रुटि रोचे केमती संशोधन करवा से चिंता करवा मोर कहला any last minute questions or any comments नहीं ठीक अच्छे आम नेक्स्ट को जी आम रेडी एगेन वन्स अगेन रिक्वेस्ट कर जना जदि किसी आप दोष त्रुटि देखुं प्लीज आमको मत कि विश्वजित भाई को जनातु परिचालन कमिटी को जनातु आम विश्लेषण करी कौन केमी रेक्टिफाई करहब विल बी हैप्पी टू डू दैट माने दिस इज आवर प्रॉमिस टू यू अब रहा आमिक आर यू रेडी अच्छी आमिका आसला
सीता दिया लोहा मोहरा जीवने ठाकुर तुम्हें कानी छोड़ा
Jai Guru, young aspirants. We'll start with attendance, and then Anhik, I'll ask you to explain the meaning of the song you just sang.
Wait.
Aditi?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Icy?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Anhik?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Ansh?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Anshu?
माँ जय गुरु नाइक से तारा स्कूल को पढ़े लानी माँ जय गुरु
Jai Guru. Jeet?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Arun? Arush?
माँ जॉइन कर
Jai Guru. Aryan? Jamu?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Divyam?
No, Jai Guru. Divyam Master.
Jai Guru. Timmy?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Jagrat?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Jai Guru. Naitik?
जय गुरु माँ
Jai Guru. Pratyusha? Pratyush?
Jai Guru Ma.
Jai Guru. Sanvi?
Jai Guru Ma.
Jai Guru. Saraswat?
जय गुरु माँ
Jai Guru. Sarthak? Bhakti?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Bobby?
Jai Guru Ma, he's coming.
Jai Guru. Shilpi? Shreya?
Jai Guru Ma.
Jai Guru. Manu?
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Jimmy?
जय गुरु
Jai Guru. Simran? Jai Guru. Shrija?
Jai Guru Ma.
Jai Guru. Suhani? Yukta?
Jai Guru Ma.
Jai Guru. And if there's anyone, is there anyone I didn't hear?
Jai Guru Ma, this is Pratyusha.
Jai Guru Pratyusha. Anyone else? Okay. So to start, Anhik, can you explain the meaning of the song you just sang?
Jai Guru. The song basically means that we only belong to Thakura. He is our hope and everything. He is our father, mother, and friend. We cannot compare his love with anything else in the world. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Like many of our songs, right? It's a devotional piece, and it reminds us that the love that Thakura has for us is vast, that it's something we can't really comprehend, but ways that we can think about it. Any person that loves us, that we have in our lives, has loved us like that and more. So today, we are going to get back into reading passages from the Upanishad and going back and reading specific advice that Thakura had. And so today's focus is we're going to read about it. We're going to discuss prayer and how we do it, why we do it, what that's all for us, and hopefully we all do it and we can have a better understanding and kind of recalibrate how we're doing that as well. So to start, before we read the passage, what is the purpose of prayer for us? Let's think about that. So, Timmy, why do we pray? What is prayer?
True prayer is connecting to God a bit more. So
we pray to connect to Thakura a bit more. Pratyusha, can you think of any other reasons why we pray? What is prayer for us?
Yeah, I think prayer is meditating, and you focus, give all of your attention to Thakura, and to spend some time with him. I think
right. So sometimes a form of prayer when we do forms of meditation, and the way I think a lot of you have discussed doing meditation, where we empty our minds and just kind of focus on Thakura and feel him with us, and either meditation on him or thinking about him. That's one form of prayer that we do, a lot of you do. Okay, so prayer, both of you said the common thing is it's a way that we connect with Thakura. And so one thing that you said, Pratyusha, is one way we pray is some of you do meditation. What are other ways that you all pray? Sandy, what's another way that you pray?
Jaguru, another way that I pray is that I pray in the young aspirant session, because we do lots of learning about Thakura, and then I apply my knowledge from what I've learned here to know more about Thakura so that I can pray accordingly to that. Jaguru?
So, part of prayer and that kind of routine is in Sangha Puja, and together, all of us in the young aspirant session, we talk about prayer, we have prayers we do together, and we apply knowledge from this and other aspects of our life or when we pray, and that's all part of it. Where else? Simran, where else or how else do you pray? When else do you pray?
I often pray in the morning and the evening.
Yeah, good, Simran. And so when you do morning and evening prayer with your family, what sort of things do you do?
I read books from numbers for young readers. And then after I read that, after my sister reads it, my parents ask me to summarize the paragraph I read.
Maybe so part of that for time, it sounds like, is outside of these sessions, reading advice Thakura has for young readers, and then summarizing and learning about him. So in those ways, in morning and evening prayers, for those of you that joined for that, book reading and learning about Thakura and his advice, those are ways we connect with him, and those are parts of our prayers. So then from there, so that's, formalized prayer. So we've talked about meditation, we've talked about, morning and evening prayers that we might join, YA session we might join, and learn those things and have connection with Thakura that way. Do any of you, or however I see answer this, I see, do you ever pray or think of Thakura outside of being in Thakura's room doing puja, joining for these sessions? And do you ever pray to him for anything?
Jaiguru, I do.
Jaiguru, so what kinds of times do you think of him or have a prayer for him outside of being in the physical room?
Jaiguru, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so when else do you pray or think about Thakura outside of formal puja times?
Jaiguru, I pray to him when I'm scared or I'm nervous, Jaiguru.
Jaiguru, right.
And also when I'm happy, Jaiguru.
Jaiguru, right. So another time it's just, in our daily lives, even if we're not in evening or puja or Sangha puja or something like that, if we're just out and about in our lives, when we're scared, happy, sad, when we're feeling anything and we're thinking of Thakura, that's also sometimes in ways thinking about him and connecting with him in those moments, even if we don't have his Vigraha's image in front of us, that's also prayer. And so today we're going to be talking more about that specifically. But before we go into it, what do we want from Thakura? So when we think of him, when we're learning about him, what ultimately are we trying to get? What ultimately are we trying to understand? Jeet?
Jaiguru, I think we're ultimately just trying to get happiness from him. Jaiguru.
Jaiguru. So we're trying to get that happiness, that contentment, where we feel that joy that we can get from him, that we know he can teach us. So with that, we're going to read the passage. It's for those of you that have the Upadesha, it's on page 238. And Aditi is going to read that for us. So Aditi, when you're ready.
Jaiguru, what page is it again?
248, Joys and Sorrows, the Result of Prayer.
Jaiguru, joys and sorrows, the result of prayer. You don't know how to pray, so your prayer is not rightly offered. You pray for so many unnecessary things without locating and knowing properly your desire and yearning. You are unable to form an idea which will be beneficial for you. God is troubled by your divergent prayers. Now you ask for one thing, and the next moment you again desire for another. Thus, in the court of God, your numerous applications are gradually mounting up. Your previous applications will, of course, be granted. So what you pray day to day will not be granted today. On the other hand, whatever you have prayed previously will be fulfilled first, and thereafter today's prayers will come up for fulfillment. Whatever joys and sorrows you enjoy today are the consequences of your prayers. Once, for your happiness, you prayed for these. Today, those have turned sorrowful due to changes in circumstances. All of you know the episode of prayer for a blanket. So pray after due comprehension. Your first prayer will be, O Gurudev, give us faith. And faith begets dependence. If you attain faith, nothing remains unattainable. So my last words are, you firmly establish your mind on the unshakable substratum of faith and completely depend on me. Leave all your burden onto me. You will then have to beg nothing and pray nothing. I shall do whatever is good for you. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. So to start, before I get into questions, does anyone have any questions from this passage? Okay. So to start with, we'll just kind of go through the main ideas here. So what happens, what happens when we pray for specific things? What does Thakura say happens when we pray for specific things?
Jago, when we pray for specific things, Thakura he helps us achieve those things, but like slowly, he just doesn't give them to us as soon as we want them. Jagger.
So if you ask for something specific, like if you're in school, you want to do well on a test, you want, for those of you that are older, you want to get some award or be better at this thing or that thing or any of the extracurriculars that you all do. You can pray for that, and Thakur is saying, yes, you will get that. He'll maybe not give it to you today, but if you keep asking for it, you'll get that. But ultimately, if you're asking for something and he gives you exactly that, is he saying that that's going to make us happy? Are we going to get that? What Jeet said, we ultimately want a kind of contentment and happiness that stays with us. If we're asking for something and then we're patient and then Thakur gives that to us eventually, is that going to keep us happy? Ansh?
Thakur, can you repeat the question?
So when we ask for something, if we're asking for something like, I want to get a good grade on this test, or I want to be able to get, if you're placed, I want to get the winning goal, whatever it is, whatever specific thing you're asking for from Thakur. And he says, if you keep asking for it, I'll get that for you. When we get that, when he answers that specific prayer, are we going to have lasting happiness from that?
Jagru, you definitely won't be happy forever, because you might get your goal for that day or for that kind of term or period of time, but after that, new problems are going to arise and you're going to ask for more and more, and that's going to lead you to not be happy anymore. Jagru?
You're right. So, if we ask for something specific, yes, he'll give us that, and maybe we'll get it, and that'll make us happy. But that's not going to last always, right? Something new is going to come in. There's going to be some other challenge in our lives, and that's not going to sustain us. So then we'll ask for something else specifically too. And then, he might give us that. And at some point or another, maybe not at the moment we ask for it. But then you're in that cycle, and it's not something that's long lasting, which, as we discussed earlier, that's really what we're looking for from this. So there's that. So then what happens in the case, have you ever, can you think of a time that this has happened? Pratyush, can you think of a situation, or have you had a situation where you've wanted something, maybe you've not necessarily prayed and asked for it from Thakur, but where you've wanted something, and then when you get it, you realize that that's not actually what you wanted. Does that happen? Do you have any examples?
Jagger, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so we've talked about the situation, we ask Thakur for something, we get it, and we're happy, but that doesn't last. Are there situations where you can ask for something and it doesn't make you happy, and what causes that, or why might that be a thing that happens?
Jagger, are you asking like you ask something to Thakur but you don't get it, you get something different?
So that's one situation. That's not what I was asking, but you can discuss that.
Okay, Jagger. So one thing, I don't think that's happened, but I guess to me, when I ask Thakur for things, they're usually like nothing that really matters. Maybe just small things, like maybe a good grade on the test or something. And usually I get that because I study. But sometimes, let's say I ask Thakur to get a good grade on a test, but the problem is that you ask Thakur and you think he's going to give it to you, but you don't study for it. You just think that Thakur's going to give it to you, and when you go and take the test, you don't get it, or you don't get the grade you wanted to.
No, you're right. So that can be one reason, right? We ask for things from him, but you know he's not acting. It's not necessarily, in some ways it is, but it's not always magic. If we're asking for small things here or there, we're asking for something. We have to do something as well. You know, if we want a good grade on the test, we do the work, and then you might feel him help guide you. But if you're not doing anything, you're not necessarily going to get the you're not going to get the results you want if you don't take the actions that you are supposed to take. Just praying and asking Takura for good grades on tests and this toy, that toy, whatever it is you want, you're not always going to get exactly what you want. So that's true. Are there times when there's something we think we should get, so maybe if it's something like this, we study really hard, we don't do as well as we want to, or you know, you wanted a specific outcome, something, maybe there's a class you're taking and you have group projects, you get assigned things, you wanted more recognition for something, there's something that you want to happen in your life that doesn't necessarily happen the way you want it to. Why does something like that happen? Gemma? Gemma, are you there? Yes, so in cases, so sometimes we don't put the work in and we don't get what we want. But what if there's something we want? Maybe we've prayed for it, maybe we've just wanted, we haven't asked Takura for it. Are there times when you've put in the work, you've done what you think you need to do, but ultimately you're not getting what you wanted or you think you wanted? Why does that happen?
So,
or what do we do with it?
Jay, I think that happens because there's always going to be a reason why something doesn't work out. Maybe Takura has some better paths set for you in the future. It's just like right now it's going to be difficult, but in the future you're going to think that, oh, like if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be in a better place. So I think that it just depends on what Takura has in mind for you, Jay.
Sure. So, you know, we don't always necessarily know what the best path forward is for us. So sometimes things happen in our lives, we don't necessarily get exactly what we want, or it's not working the exact way that we planned. But then with perspective, as we go through that time and we go into the future and something good is happening, we realize that maybe what we wanted and what our plan wasn't what was meant for us at that time. But whatever did happen brought us to a place or brought us to something that was better or was good for us that we just didn't see at that time when we were thinking about that. Right, so Takura says here that we pray for a lot of unnecessary things without locating and knowing properly our desire and yearning. Sometimes we want things or we think we want things that aren't necessarily what's best for us, aren't necessarily what needs to happen for us to grow and get to the next best place that we need to be. But we don't realize that in the moment because we're living in this moment. We're not seeing everything like he does. So then moving forward, right, he says we are supposed to ask him for one thing. So what is that one thing that Takura says we should pray for? We should ask of him. Shrija, what's the one thing we should ask of Takura? Or ask from Takura?
Jager, the one thing that we should ask of Takura is his book. And if we ask for things, then the happiness doesn't last for long. Jager.
Jai Guru. So if we don't ask for just things, we ask for him, and the specific word he used was faith, right? We ask for faith in him and belief in him. And so if we get that faith in him, how does that take care of happiness for us? So he says, you know, if we have faith, that begets dependence. He says, in praying for that, he's asking us to leave all our burdens with him. Yukta, what does it mean to leave all our burdens with Thakura?
When it says to leave all our burdens onto Thakura, it means to leave all our struggles and troubles and what difficulties through life to Thakura.
Okay, so anything that we're dealing with, we just kind of give to him. And Yukta, have you done that at any points before? Or can you describe what that feels like or what that looks like for you if you've tried that?
Sometimes I try to do it by meditating in my room and just to focus on him and not anything else.
Right. So sometimes that can be just praying, meditating, you focus on him, you kind of block out everything else and just focus on him. And then when you do that, do you feel better about things? Do you feel calmer? What do you feel when you focus on him and not whatever else is troubling you at that time?
Yeah, it helps me out. So let's say if my mind is everywhere and when I do it, it usually helps me feel more grounded.
No, you're right. So the one thing is when you meditate upon him and you just put him as the center of your focus, you don't worry about those other things, and so then you feel more grounded, like Yukta says, or you feel calmer, and that kind of helps you have that strength to go through whatever it is you need to go through in that moment. So, so that's one thing, just focusing on him and forgetting the rest of it and letting that just be. The other thing, right, so we do go through challenges in our lives. And, and part of asking for that faith is having faith that Thakura is going to lead us through whatever is happening. He's looking out for what's best in us. So, when things are difficult, though, it's sometimes hard to keep this in perspective. How do we know that what's happening in our lives is what's best for us in the moment? Or how do we keep that faith that things are going to be better, even if right in this moment things feel really bad? Saraswat, what are your thoughts on that? How do we keep perspective and keep faith when things are difficult?
Well, one way is to kind of think that what we're kind of looking at is more like an illusion. Like it's not actually not affecting us as our soul. But, maybe we go through this hard time, but we don't let it drag us down.
You're right. If we kind of change our perspective, we can say, okay, this hard thing is happening, I'm looking through it, whatever that is, but we distance ourselves. In some ways we do that is, like we've said, meditation, thinking about Thakura. If we have faith in him and we, believe that he wants what's best for us and he's not going to let us suffer indefinitely, he has some sort of plan for us. This, any type of reframing of our mindset can help us keep that faith. And it's difficult because it's something we have to do and something we have to rethink for ourselves. But reframing and kind of thinking, this is something that's happening. Maybe I'm in it and this is happening. But trying to get that perspective outside of it, trying to maybe focus on Thakura, trying to do all of that reframing can help us keep faith, and reminding ourselves can help us keep that faith. So then to end us in this discussion here, and as we think about how we're going to apply this to our lives, Bobby, do you have any particular way or any one thing that you might do to reframe challenging moments to kind of help faith guide you or chakra guide you, or any other way that you can try to reframe a challenging moment in your life to have hope and faith that it will get better?
Jai Guru, whenever I have tough times or I'm facing a tough obstacle and I might seem like I'm losing faith, I just think back to how in Thakura's books, he always talks about how he gives us these opportunities to improve ourselves and get one step closer to becoming a better human being. So thinking back to that and making sure that I know that each opportunity is each obstacle is an opportunity for me to grow, helps me, I guess, increase my faith as well as stay calm in those situations and keep looking forward.
Jai Guru, thank you, Avi. So that's one more thing in our arsenal that we can always think of it as an opportunity to grow and an opportunity to grow our faith as well. So with that, we're out of time, and Simran has also something to say about today. So Simran, when you're ready. Jai Guru.
Sisters, I'm happy that today is my Bali because last weekend we were at Chicago for Brindan's Girls and Puja. It is so and mind about that puja and how much fun we had with Bubbles and Jesus. This year is going good so far, as we had a good ceremony after a long time waiting due to COVID. I was fortunate too and I got to favor was out and performed dance in our Ananda Sabha. I met and had fun with almost all young aspirants. I enjoyed a lot of this year's ceremony. Due to Sakura's blessings, I am getting a chance to meet with our writer again and again, even in our text with Pastor Chakra. I like our writer session because I'm learning more and more about Sakura. At last, I pray to Sakura to bless me and make me as one of her ideal students.
जय गुरु। आज पाली पूजा अच्छी ठाकुर महाराज आमे एते भाग्यवान जे पिलारू माने आमे ठाकुर घरे जन्म होइछे लागे ठाकुर माने ठाकुर घरे जन्म हेकी मध्ये आमे एते सेवा करिया जाउछे ये करछे सब करूछे हमें हमर आत्मा रा अपलिफ्टमेंट पई हमें गुडा समय रे प्रार्थना करूछे बट बेले बेले लागुछे हमें जाउछे सम्मेलन जाउछे आसुछे सेती समय मो बहुत भल लागुछे तापर आसीगला परे संसार भीतर बुडी जाउछे सेती लागुछे अनेक आडे पळि जाउछे आउ थे जो संघ पूजा गुड़ा हूँ लगुच गोटे बांधी आउ थे संसार भीतर पैसा बट सब आम आत्मार सद्बुद्धि आत्म उन्नति आम प्रार्थना करुचे बट आ गोटे भीतर मन गोटे रोचे ठाकुर पाखे आम देहटा केमी ठाकुर ठाकुर सेवार केमी नियुक्त हो पार गोटे जिन बहुत भल लगे कहले आम केमी अन्य मानू केमी सेवा दे पार कि अन्य कथा कि भावी पार मत सब लगुच देहटा ठाकुर नहीं आमको परिवार जन्म देवाक परिवार को आनिके किछिटा काम तांकरी काम करने बेले बेले लगुच जानी पाऊना जे जना पड़नी से कौन से कामटा कौन आम कर कौन सेवाटा कर ତାଙ୍କର ଇଚ୍ଛାର ଇଏଟା କ'ଣ ଆମେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଉନ୍ନତି କରିବା। ବେଳେବେଳେ ଲାଗେ ଆମ ମତେ ଖାସ କରି ଲାଗିଥାଉଛି ମୁଁ ତ ବୁଢା ସମୟରେ ବହୁତ ଦୂରକୁ ପଳେଇ ଯାଉଛି, ଆଉ ଥରେ ଟାଣିକି ଆସିକି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ଖାଲି ମାଗୁଥାଉଛେ ଠାକୁର ଆମକୁ ଆଶୀର୍ବାଦ ଦିଅ, ଠାକୁର ଇଏ ଦିଅ ସିଏ ଦିଅ। ବଟ୍ ଆମେ ବେଳେବେଳେ ଲାଗୁଛି ଯେ ମୁଁ କିଛି ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ କାମରେ କିଛି ଅଗ୍ରସର ହେଇପାରୁନି, ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ କିଛି କରିପାରୁନି। ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ଯୋଉ ଇଚ୍ଛାଟା ଅଛି ଜନ କଲ୍ୟାଣ କର ଇଏ କର, ସେଗୁଡାକରେ ମୋର ଅବଦାନଟା ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ମତେ କମ ହବାକୁ ଭଳିଆ ଲାଗୁଛି। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ଯେ କେମିତି ଆମର ଆତ୍ମା ଶୁଦ୍ଧି ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ଆମର ଦେହଟାକୁ ଆମର ଆତ୍ମାଟାକୁ କେମିତି ତମରି କାମରେ ଲାଗିବା ପାଇଁ, ଠାକୁର ଆପଣଙ୍କ କାମରେ ଲାଗିବା ପାଇଁ ଆମକୁ ଅଗ୍ରସର ହବାକୁ ସଦ୍ବୁଦ୍ଧି ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ, ଆଉ ସେ ଦିଗ ଦେଖେଇ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ଯୋଉଥିରେ ସବୁବେଳେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର କାମରେ ଏ ଦେହଟା ମନଟା ପ୍ରାଣଟା ସବୁବେଳେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର କାମରେ ଲାଗିପାରିବ, ସେଇ ଦିଗ ଆମକୁ ଦେଖେଇ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା କରୁଛି। ଏତିକି କହି ମୁଁ ରହୁଛି। ଜୟ ଗୁରୁ।
Jai Guru. I'm very grateful for my opportunity today to perform seva and have Ali seva today. So, when it comes to Ravinma, it's difficult for me to really think of what to say and what thoughts would be useful to share. But it felt recently that I've been able to really appreciate the importance of Thakura's presence in my life. This last year has had a lot of changes, a lot of really good things, and a lot of challenges have come as well with all of that. And, through everything, I've noticed that whenever times get difficult, where I'm facing more challenging things, whenever I feel like I need something, Thakura just brings it forward through some way or another. Today we discussed in the YA session that, we should always pray for faith in Thakura, and, he takes on all our burdens once we accept it, and we can find that contentment that we're searching for if we just have that faith. And it's something we talk about a lot in these sessions. And I'm not that great at following this, but I've noticed that these things are true, right? He does take care of everything in life. And I've noticed, especially in times this year where I've been really stressed or life has been very hectic, that there's always something that happens that is exactly what I need in that moment to feel better and to feel more grounded. There's a lot of the young aspirants we're talking about today, specific things that they do, like meditation. I found that even when I'm not being intentional about it, that Thakura finds some way to bring me that, to remind me, okay, if you're intentional, you can do this. So I found, that I have the opportunity for Seva to help facilitate the YA session, especially on weeks where things get really hectic or really difficult, or I face a lot of challenges. And I've noticed that at the end of particularly rough weeks, or through those weeks when I'm thinking about, what will we read and what will we discuss this week, when I open, so I should just, I'll just open the book, even if it's not what we end up talking about that week, or if I'm looking for some other passage, it'll just open to a passage when I'm not thinking about it, about something like faith or prayer or anything else, where it's the exact right thing that I need to read at that moment to feel better. It's the exact advice that I needed at that time. And notice, even when I don't have Seva, we'll be sitting in session, one of the things we read is immediately applicable to what I'm going through, or is immediately comforting for just the regular stress and hustle bustle of life. And especially this summer, which has been very, very busy and lots of different things have happened, we were able to have someone right in the middle of everything. And I know going into it, I was concerned, it's someone in the middle, there's a lot of things happening with work and other things going on, and it turned out to come at a perfect time because I realized I'd forgotten about this, but when we all meet together as a Sangha and we talk about Sangha Shakti and that spiritual energy and joy we all feel when we're all together in one place with Thakura, focusing on him and working together in his seva, there's a recharging that happens with that. And I always feel like it comes right when we need it, and all these opportunities to come together happen right when we need it. And somehow or another this year, Thakura has always made sure that I've been taken care of. And I've noticed, and even when things are challenging or things seem really hectic and how can all of these things happen at once, it always works out perfectly. He seems to have it kind of, if I step back and I just kind of give up on it, I go through what I'm going through and I think of him, I realize that it's almost like he's hitting me over and over again and on the head with a message that, if I don't focus on it, if I just give it to him, everything gets done as it needs to get done. Everything is taken care of. If I have that faith in him, if I think of him, I turn to his books, I sit in Sangha Puja, I try to join other pujas, or when I have that opportunity. When I step away from all of that, I realize he's guiding me through it. He's getting me through everything, and whatever is happening for the best. But I need to be better at letting go, having that faith in him. And I hope that I can do that. I hope to continue noticing all of these ways that he's guiding me along, and I hope I can continue. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Satima, please invite Thakura for Madhyana Bhoga and evening puja.
Jai Guru. What time is the evening puja today?
6:30, I believe. Bishithai, 6:30 na?
Jai Guru. Yes, Jai Guru.
Yeah, 6:30.
Jai Guru. I invite Shri Thakura to reserving the Dhyana which will happen immediately after the session, and then for all of the Vaisnavis and young aspirants to partake in prasad afterwards. And I invite Shri Thakura, Vaisnavis and young aspirants to join the evening puja. Today will be at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Jai Guru.
ଠାକୁର ଭାଇ ମା ୟଙ୍ଗାଶ୍ରମ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଆସନ୍ତା ସଂଘ ପୂଜାକୁ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ କରୁଛି, ଯୋଉଟା ହବ ସେପ୍ଟେମ୍ବର 18th।
ଭାଇ ମୁଁ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ କରିବି।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଭାଇ, ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଜୟ ଗୁରୁ। ପରମାରାଧ୍ୟ ଗୁରୁଦେବ ଓ ପ୍ରାଣପ୍ରିୟ ଭକ୍ତ ଭାଇ ମା ଓ ୟଙ୍ଗ ଆସ୍ପିରାଣ୍ଟସ୍ ମାନେ, ଆସନ୍ତା ରବିବାର ସେପ୍ଟେମ୍ବର 18 ତାରିଖ ଶ୍ରେୟସୀ ସୌମ୍ୟ ଭାଇ ଆଉ ମୋର ପାଳି ଅଛି। ଆମେ ଠାକୁର ମହାରାଜ ଏବଂ ସମସ୍ତ ଭାଇ ମା ଓ ୟଙ୍ଗ ଆସ୍ପିରାଣ୍ଟସ୍ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ନିମନ୍ତ୍ରଣ ଜଣାଉଛୁ। ସମସ୍ତେ ପୂଜାରେ ଯୋଗଦାନ ଦେଇ ପୂଜାଟିକୁ ସଫଳ ମଣ୍ଡିତ କରିବେ। ଜୟ ଗୁରୁ।
Jai Guru. On behalf of my son, your aspirants that had seva today, I beg for forgiveness from Shri Thakura for any mistakes that we might have made. Jai Guru.
Sri Chaurani Dinanathai Bhiksha Kare Sri Chaurani Tava Katha Rakhi Manani Smorani দেবতার কথা রাখিথিবি মননে স্মরণে বাহারে কি হেলা নাহি নকরি তো চলা বাহারে কি হেলা নাহি নকরি তো চলা করিবি প্রথমে নিজ স্বভাব মার্জনা দেব করিবি প্রথমে নিজ স্বভাব মার্জনা পরদোষ খোঁজিবুনি নধাইব মন পরদোষ খোঁজিবুনি নধাইব মন লাগিথিবি সদা করি আত্মসংশোধন প্রভু লাগিথিবি সদা করি আত্মসংশোধন বচনে আরপে হেউ রসনা সংযত বচনে আরপে হেউ রসনা সংযত ঘুঞ্চি যাও অবসাদ দেহর জড়ত্ব নাথ ঘুঞ্চি যাও অবসাদ দেহর জড়ত্ব উচিত ভাষণে নেহু କିଛି ଅନ୍ତରାୟ ଉଚିତ ଭାଷଣେ ନହୁ କିଛି ଅନ୍ତରାୟ ଯଥା କର୍ମ ହେଉ ଚିତ୍ତ ଶୁଦ୍ଧିର ସହାୟ ଦେବ ଯଥା କର୍ମ ହେଉ ଚିତ୍ତ ଶୁଦ୍ଧିର ସହାୟ ନିରଳସ ଭାବେ ତବ ଆଦେଶ ପାଳନ ନିରଳସ ଭାବେ ତବ ଆଦେଶ ପାଳନ ନିରଳସ ଭାବେ ତବ ଆଦେଶ ପାଳନ କରି ଯିବି ହେଉ ତହିଁ ପ୍ରାଣର ସ୍ଫୁରଣ ଦେବ କରି ଯିବି ହେଉ ତହିଁ ପ୍ରାଣର ସ୍ଫୁରଣ ନ ମାନିବି କାହିଁ କେଉଁ ବାରଣ ବନ୍ଧନ 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 ଯହି ଥାଏ ତହି ଥାଉ ତବ ପଦେ ମନ ଦେବ ଯହି ଥାଏ ରହିଥାଉ ତବ ପଦେ ମନ ପ୍ରଭୁ ଯହି ଥାଏ ରହିଥାଉ ତବ ପଦେ ମନ ଯହି ଥାଏ ରହିଥାଉ তব পদে মন জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় 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 জয় গুরু
জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু
জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু
জয় গুরু জয় গুরু জয় গুরু जय गुरु जय गुरु जय
जय गुरु 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 जय गुरु जय गुरु जय जय गुरु जय गुरु जय गुरु जय जय गुरु जय गुरु जय जय गुरु 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 जय गुरु जय गुरु
जय जय श्री ठाकुर महाराज की
जय गुरु जय गुरु जय
जय गुरु गोटे खाली क्विक क्लारिफिकेशन गोटे क्विक अनाउंसमेंट करेक्शन आज मुझे कहली जे हमर प्रेम प्रीति संपर्कता सेटा टिके एबसटी लेस फोकस ऑन दैट टिपिकली पर्टिकुलरली जे आमे गोटे परिवार सेटा केमती सेही भावटा को हम भितर सुदृढ़ हबो सो द कमिंग इयर लेट्स फोकस ऑन दैट डज नो माय विश आज गोटे क्विक अनाउंसमेंट हमर आज नुआ जॉइन कर माँ पल्लविता माँ नुआ प्रयास कहते नुहे मैंने माँ संघ को पुणी फेरी अनेक दिन आबसेन्स पर जो मैंने पुराणा संघसेवी माँ को जानती भल भाव में नूतन संघसेवी मान खाली कहीदे माँ आम इनिशियल संघ होता जो जॉइन करते किसी वर्ष डिसाइड करते माँ टी लाइन अच्छा खाली इंट्रोड्यूस करदे आपन पिता माता परिचय दिंतु आई नो हु दे
जय गुरु भाई आउ भाई जमी कहले पल्लविता मामू मु आगुरी संघर थी बापा नाम सम्मेलन पट्टनायक से कटक संघर माँ कटक संघर सुरक्षा देवी अन्य भाई आ माँ मान को मोर जय गुरु संभाषण जय गुरु
सम्मेलन भाई कटक सेवा अच्छी पूरा कौन कहना संपादक भाई संपादक ना कटक संघर हाँ बर्तमान सम्मेलन सम्मेलन भाई बहुत व्यस्त हाँ से माँ रोचे आसन मंदिर पाखे गुड न्यूज आसन मंदिर अपेक्षा रहती तो गुड न्यूज ये दृष्टि मझे मझे आसता आसन मंदिर को आसन मंदिर जो मझे मझे से मरुड़ी पड़ जाए भक्त मान देखा रोनी आज जड़े आम बढ़े हाँ
हाँ जय गुरु आउ दीटा अनाउंसमेंट अच्छी मो कथा शुणा ना जय गुरु
हाँ भाई जय गुरु
हाँ आमर संघ सेवक आड्रेस पठाई केन्द्र को गत काली पठे जो मान भाई माँ मैंने जो अच्छे पोस्टाल पाइबापा आदि कि थाए करेक्शन जनइबे शीघ्र आगला जो बहीगुड़ा से आसी आम प्राय आसी 21टा 22टा बही आसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हम देखा आम आउ गोटे भेरी गुड न्यूज होमर सम्मेलन आम कही से विषयटा जे आमर जो सेकेंड सेवक आम चेष्टा करते विजय उपाध्याय भाई तांकर पिटिशन अप्रूव होता किंतु कोविड रे किसी अपॉइंटमेंट मिललानी आमको बहुत चेष्टा करथिलु सेते बेले इवन एजेंट को लगेइथिलु मध्य हे पर नथला किंतु आउ थरे बे फाइल करथिलु जुलाई 1 रे सम्मेलन रो जस्ट पूर्व फाइल कराइतला तांकर नुआ पिटिशन आउ सेटा गतकाले आसी अप्रूवल तांकर बहुत शीघ्र अप्रूवल पळे आसी तेणु तापर आमर नेक्स्ट स्टेप होछि तांको बे केमते अपॉइंटमेंट ऑलरेडी अच्छी नवेम्बर 27 28 अपॉइंटमेंट ऑलरेडी रखी जोटा आम नहीं पार्लुनि मे मसरे सेटा को रखी नवेम्बर मसरे आई एम जस्ट स्टिल एक्सप्लोरिंग कहीं रिसीट नंबर अलग आसे जोटा अप्रूवल है आग रिसीट नंबर अलग थिला से अपॉइंटमेंट रे नुआ रिसीटा कनेक्ट हम से देखुचे मे बी नवेम्बर मसरे आम अपॉइंटमेंट जय गुरु किए कह चाहते चेष्टा कर जय गुरु
भाई ऑप्शन जय गुरु भाई भाई किसी रिसेप्ट नंबर इज नॉट इंपोर्टेंट या डीएस 160 नुआ भरिकी अपन दे
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା ହଁ
ଜୟଗୁରୁ ଭାଇ do you have to wait till November 27 28 ନା ପୂର୍ବ ଆପଏଣ୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ମିଳିପାରିବ?
ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରାଯିବ କିନ୍ତୁ ମିଳୁନି ଆଜିକାଲି ଆପଏଣ୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ମିଳୁନି ଶୀଘ୍ର, ତେଣୁ ଆମେ ତାଙ୍କୁ କହିକି ରଖିଥିଲୁ ଗୋଟେ ସେତେବେଳେ ଯୋଉଟା ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରାଯାଇଥିଲା ତାକୁ ଦେଖିବା କଥା
ମାନେ ନଭେମ୍ବର ଓକେ ଓକେ ହଁ
এটা ସବୁ ଇନିସିଆଲ ନ୍ୟୁଜ୍ ଯୋଉଟା ଅଛି, ତେଣୁ ଜଷ୍ଟ ଆସିଲା ତ ଖାଲି ଜଣେଇ ଦେଇଗଲି ଜିନିଷଟା, ତାପରେ ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା ଏକ୍ସପ୍ଲୋର କରିବା କ'ଣ କରାଯାଇ ପାରିବା ପରେ ଜଷ୍ଟ ସେଇଟା ଆମେ କହିଲେ ଜଣେଇ ଦେଇଥିବା ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ, ଏଇଟା ସଂଘ ନ୍ୟୁଜ୍ ଭଲ ନ୍ୟୁଜ୍ ଗୋଟେ, ଆଉ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବା କେମିତି କ'ଣ ହେଇଯିବ। ୱି ନିଡ୍ ସମ୍ ଭଲେଣ୍ଟିୟର ଯିଏ ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗେ କଥା ହେଇକି ଇଣ୍ଟରଭ୍ୟୁ ପାଇଁ ଟିକେ ହେଲ୍ପ କରିବେ ତାଙ୍କୁ, ଏ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନାର ସବୁ ଆମର ଅଛି, ୱି ୱାଣ୍ଟ ହିମ୍ ଟୁ ବି ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ୍ କରିକି କେମିତି ପଠାଇବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ ଇଣ୍ଟରଭ୍ୟୁ।